Hi people, this is Miss Misery with another one of my tragic story times. This one starts out at the age of 4, but I am going to fast forward to the age of 16, and you'll know why at the end of the video. Okay, when I was 16, I started being friends with this guy. Well, actually, I'd known him for a little while. But I started being really close with him, and I had a son when I was 16, like the day after I turned 16. My birthday was the 29th. His birthday was the 30th. So literally in the middle of the morning of his birthday, I went into labor. My water broke, boom, had a baby. So I had that going on, and I started dating this guy. Well, I didn't start dating him. I just started hanging out with him, and he really liked me, I guess, and I just didn't get it. I thought he just wanted to be friends. So the thing is I missed the opportunity of being with him, and in that time I fell in love with him. And it was really messed up because then I was chasing him as he was chasing me before. But then we started sleeping together and we were seeing each other off and on. And he would say things like we were dating, and then he would break up with me that same night. And then he would go out with another girl, and he would bring her to my house, because my house was a hangout spot for a lot of party goers and stuff, because both of my parents worked. So pretty much all day we had, to sit there and do all this fuckery while my parents were at work, hard working to pay for the place that I was fucking off, And it turned into such a toxic friendship and such a toxic relationship, where there was one point where I actually, now I'm not proud of this because I am very honest and I am not a thief and I pride myself on these things, but I was really pissed off at him for something that he had done. He made me look like a fool by bringing a girl over to my house and making out with her in front of me right after he broke up with me. And I ended up destroying my room, my stuff. Instead of going out there and socking the guy, slapping the guy, freaking out, beating her ass or something, no. I destroyed my stuff. I mean, how self-destructive can I be? And you could hear me in there too, as they're outside, like making out of my mom's car with my brother and like a bunch of other people. You could hear me throwing my stereo and my television across the room. Well, anyways, you can tell this is a very toxic situation. And of course, after that, I slept with him more. Even though he had actually gotten together with this girl and they were dating, I felt like I had more of a claim to him. I felt like I knew him first. I felt like we had more of a history. He was somewhat of a surrogate father for my kid. I just didn't want to let go. And I was kind of like this in this obsessive love thing. And then the nightmare started. And the flashback started. He would screw me over, and I would have these horrific nightmares. And at first, I couldn't remember them. And I wish it would have stayed like that. I had always had this faint memory of a family member, a younger family member, but 10 years older than me. And this started when I was 4, so, do the math, 14 and 4. Great couple, No. Anyways, I had flashbacks of molestation. Now, I had always low-key known this thing had happened, but the word molestation was so harsh. I didn't want to sit there and put what I had went through as being molested. And so when it was going on, I told my brother at one point. I got up the courage. He told me I was crazy. He told me this person loved us. He told me that there's no way this was happening. And erase it from your mind. Don't ever talk about it or think about it again. And literally, until I was 16 and this guy was screwing me over on a daily or weekly, monthly basis, I started getting the flashbacks. The memories started coming back. And it was horrible. And then I finally realized I'd been molested by a family member, by a cousin. I will not disclose this person. He's on Megan's list, so for some other stuff. So it's not like he's just wandering around and I didn't do anything about it. I didn't do anything about my thing per se, but he got caught for something else. So he is being held accountable for that charge. And he is being watched for that charge. So I'm grateful for that. The thing is like I said, I didn't want this faint memory I had of something happening between us. I didn't want it to be this huge word, molestation, you know? Because it's like, nobody wants to know that they've been molested. And I think that's why for so long I had just suppressed it. But this guy was just, thought I was so in love with him. And he was so deep-seated in my brain and in my consciousness that when he would fuck me over, it would make me feel as disgusted as I felt when I had been molested when I was younger. I felt the same type of violation going on. So I would have these nightmares, and I know that it happened between the ages of 4 and 10. 6 freaking years. I only have a memory of one incident that is a full memory. And here's how fucked up it was. And this goes back to the first video that I did about me feeling like parents and other people couldn't do anything, wouldn't do anything, or just didn't care to do anything. I was laying under, I'm about 6, 7, maybe 8 years old, probably younger, about 6, 7. I'm laying under the covers with this person, this guy, my cousin, on the couch, late at night. He's watching TV. Disclaimer right now, if you don't want to hear any graphic details, skip ahead about 3 minutes. I'm not going to go too graphic, but I have to kind of let you know what was going on, so you know that, you know, it wasn't... There's levels and there's degrees of molestation, and I just want you to know what level this was on. He was... It's going to start right now, details. Everybody, you know, like I said, right now, details. He was laying behind me. He had my panties down underneath the covers, and he had his member between my thighs. He was not penetrating me, but he was using my thighs as the means to pleasure himself. Well, in this incident, my dad walks in, turns on the kitchen light, asks him, "Hey, what are you doing?" He's all, "Oh, just watching TV." And I'm lying there, this little, 50-pound or even 45-pound little girl that's only maybe 3 feet tall, underneath the covers with a 16, 17-year-old man, pretty much, young man. And my dad goes, "Oh, okay," turns off the light and walks off. Do I blame my father for this? In a way, I am very disappointed in his parenting, but everybody trusted this guy. They really thought that he had our best interests at heart. They never thought that he would hurt us like this. I will get into the us portion later. I don't feel comfortable mentioning his other victim at this point. But there was an us situation. It was me and someone else in the house that were being molested by this person. And the person that I'm talking about got actually raped by this person. Disclaimer, move ahead. They had to go to school with bodily fluids, blood, and other bodily fluids, if you know what I mean, from someone else, in their little underwear. They had to go to school like that. They had to walk to school like that because this person would do this before they were going to school. And thank God he only tried to penetrate me a few times, and it would never work. Okay? And I do remember one time when this guy, when I was 16, screwed me over. I remember having a flashback of this guy trying to do this, and I woke up screaming and crying, and my actual private parts actually hurt when I woke up. And it was just the craziest thing. Your body and your mind are the craziest thing ever. They will make you have not only audible, sensory, fuck ups, and visual fuck ups, but even feeling will come back with a flashback. So it was obvious I had extreme PTSD because of this, but I didn't even know what PTSD was. What I did was, drink a beer, smoke some meth, do this, do that, party, woohoo, be promiscuous, do anything to sit there and not feel on an everyday basis like I was the molested kid. Because no one knew at this point. I hadn't told anyone. Which was problematic because this person actually was still coming around. He didn't dare touch me after the age of 10. I think he knew that after the age of 10 that I would have told. And I think he knew that, you know, it just wasn't going to happen. It just wasn't going to work. Now I have no idea what happened with him and the other person that was involved. I don't know if that continued. I have no clue. So I can't speak for them, but I know for me it stopped at 10. And that was bad enough. So, like I said, every time this guy screwed me over, I would get a little more bigger piece of the puzzle. And one day, while this person was in town, I said in front of a friend and my brother that I hated our cousin. Oh, hold on, sorry, I'm itching. And my brother was staying about 500 yards away behind my dad's American Indian studio. He did Native American art, and he did his own, and he also sold other people's products. So my brother was living behind there in a 1-bedroom / studio, because you could block off the bedroom. It was this weird maze type thing where there were different ways to get into these rooms and parts behind my dad's store, where you could have the bedroom go for one place and make that into a 1-bedroom, or you could attach it to my brother's place and make it a 1-bedroom. I don't know how it was at this time. It doesn't really matter. But anyways, he called me out of the blue after this incident of me saying I hated our cousin. Right? So, and he calls me and he says, come over. And I go, okay. And so I walked over there, made the 500-yard trek. It was across a small field, you know. It wasn't very far at all. It was right on this other side of a, like a convenient / gas station type of store. And when I got there, he goes, why did you say you hated our cousin? And I just went completely deadpan. 500-yard stare. Completely affect. No emotion. And I looked at him and I said, he molested me. And my brother, who is 5'10", I'm 4'11", okay? So we're almost a foot. We're an inch from being a foot, you know, difference between our height, you know. He is almost a foot taller than me. And he was buff, and he's always had a chunky stomach because he had surgeries when he was younger. I'll get into that later. He was really sick when we were younger. He's got a rare disease called Peutz-Jeghers, and it's the same thing my mom has, and I've always been in and out of hospitals with them, so that's a whole nother journey that I would like to speak on at another time. But anyways, for the most part at this time, he had pretty big arms, and, you know, he was building his pecs up and stuff. His midsection, there's no way he could ever get a 6-pack. They destroyed his muscles doing these surgeries. Anyways, that is of no real, you know, I think I'm stalling here. Anyways, this big brother, not just like meaning like my big brother. No, my big brother, my foot taller than me, you know, kind of pudgy, and kind of buff brother fell around me. He melted into me, put his arms around me, and put me into a bear hug. We were not a touchy brother and sister. We were not like the, oh, I love you, oh, give me a hug, oh, we're gonna like play fight. No, we never touched each other, you know, in good ways or bad ways. So this hug was just ridiculously strange. And then he started like convulsing, and I realized he was sobbing. I'd never in my entire life seen my brother show so much emotion for me. And it was over freaking whelming, dude. I did not understand why he felt so bad for me. It happened to me, and I didn't even feel bad. You know, I felt like I'd kind of started the process of getting over it with this whole bullshit with this guy, and having to, you know, realize on my own that I was molested and all this stuff. I'd started dealing with it. Not in the best ways, but I had. So I had kind of a, you know, like I said, like an affect about it, you know, that I could, you know, just not have any feelings towards it. But to see my brother have these emotions that I'd never seen him have before was so crazy. Well, about a month later, my brother, his girlfriend, and a few guys and me all went camping, like in a remote spot. And you hear a scream from like my brother and his girlfriend had walked off. You hear a scream about 15 minutes later, and you see her running down the mountain, and she's crying. My brother had hit her, and I didn't know why, but my brother was a habitual domestic violence perpetrator. He'd hit all of his girlfriends. I had taken some black eyes for those girls. One was my best friend. So I had actually literally, like a dumbass, got in the middle and said, I'll take your black eye for you. Oh, thank you. After that first black eye, though, I said, oh, no. No. Y'all girls want to sit here and stay with this monster who is a monster when he is doing those things. He just recently did 2 years in prison for felony domestic violence. So, you know, yeah. I always told these girls, I'm not going to counsel you to leave my brother, because that's my brother and that would hurt my brother, and I don't want anything to hurt my brother. But I'm going to tell you this. Do what you gotta do, and I'm not going to be angry at you. There's no way I'm going to be angry at you for doing what you have to do. Now, if you do it half-assed, I'm just going to sit there and think that you deserve it. Because that's just the way I am. And if you knuckle up on my brother like a man, and he hits you back like a man, guess what? If you've ever seen Taco Tarantino's first fight video, hey, if you're gonna hit a man like you're a man, you might as well be hitting Floyd Mayweather, and they should knock your ass senseless, because you are a woman. Conduct yourself as such. Now, I do believe a man can put up with a slap. Now, do I believe that should be even happening? No. But I think that they're men enough that if a woman gets upset enough, like they get cheated on, and then they slap their man, you know, that the man should be manly enough to take that. But, yeah, anything, I'm getting off course here, but anything else, no. You know, you don't hit a man like you're a man unless you want to be hit back like a man. That's my only point about that. So anyway, she comes down, and she's red, puffy-eyed. I don't know if you could tell if she had any marks from the scuffle or anything. I don't remember. But, About a week later, we had went to a football party. You know, like I don't know. I know nothing about football. Don't come at me. I don't really give a crap if you do, but, you know, whatever. The Super Bowl, that's what it is. Super Bowl Sunday, they had a party, and it got into the nighttime, and she took me aside and told me why he hit her. He had confessed that the same thing had been happening to him. This is the us. This is why I didn't want to say it earlier. It was me and my brother who had been being molested by this cousin. So therefore, okay, really fucked up situation, okay? I had no emotion when I told him. But when she told me, I immediately ran up to him. And it's hilarious because when he did it to me, it was easy for him to just kind of, you know, put his arms around me because I'm a foot smaller than him. He's a foot taller than me. Here I am, crying and sobbing and freaking out because this happened to my brother. I never considered him mentally my older brother. I always considered him mentally my little brother. So I felt so bad and I was so hurt and my heart was wrenched and I felt like somebody had just ripped it out and just stomped all over it. I couldn't believe it. I was so upset. And then I realized what he'd been feeling when I told him. And even though we don't get along, I don't care what happens. I'll always still back him up. I don't care if we're talking. I don't care if, you know, we straight go 10 rounds. Like, literally, fist to fist. I am not going to cut that man out of my life or let him be in a situation where he's being attacked and I not do anything. That is ridiculous. I was not brought up that way. I was brought up to be loyal, honest, truthful, not a thief, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Like, I stole a Chico stick and got caught. And my homeboy, who was a burglar at the time, yeah, I had some fun friends when I was younger, had to pay for it. And then when we get outside, he pulls out the strawberry shortcake ice cream that he stole. And he paid for my Chico stick with a $100 bill. Motherfucker. That's all I can say about that. But anyways, my brother was, you know, just like shocked that his girlfriend had told. And he was like trying to throw me off of him. This is not the time. Stop. Go away. And he was being very affect like I was, you know, when I had told him. And, you know, it was just a messy, muddy situation. But anyways, yeah, I don't really have much more to say about that. I mean, there's some stuff about us fighting and me getting drunk and yelling back to him that because he was crying one day and he asked me why I hated him so much, and I said, and I went out into the middle of the street drunk as hell, and I was probably 17 maybe at the time. And sorry, underage drinking, disclaimer here, underage drinking is never okay. I did not allow my children to do it. I do not think that I should have been allowed to do it, yet it was a different time, and so on and so forth. Okay, I do not, absolutely 100% advocate underage drinking, drug usage, anything. If you're over the age of 18, I don't care what you do. You know, stick a cucumber in your hoo-ha and run around on heroin and PCP and, you know, in a tutu across the 405. I don't care. But if you're 18, you're not going to get a cigarette from, well, actually, if you're under 21 now, they put it up to 21, but it was 18 when I was younger. You're not going to get a cigarette from me unless you're 21. You're not going to get a beer from me unless you're 21. And I don't do drugs, so you're not going to get drugs from me. You know, I do not promote these things, okay? But I was drunk this day, and I told him, because you didn't tell our parents when I told you that our cousin was molesting me, you allowed it to continue. I hate you, blah, 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 you know, and pretty much after that, I had told my parents, and I didn't tell my parents about my brother yet, because he was never going to do it, and I knew it had to be said, so I was the one to end up telling my parents about both of us. Anyways, that's my story. That's my tragic story time for today, and I hope you enjoyed the content. Now, like I said, I am here to spread awareness about this and education about this. No one ever has to put up with this type of abuse or any other type of abuse. I should not have stopped at telling just my brother. I should have told my parents. I loved my parents. I did trust my parents. I just didn't trust myself. I didn't trust myself enough to tell them, you know. I didn't think that they would believe me. For the same reason that my brother told me to forget about it, I thought that they were, you know, and the fact that my dad came into the room while it was happening, I just felt like, you know, it was normalized, and that's not right. These things like domestic violence, violence towards women, violence towards men, violence towards children, any type of abuse should never be normalized, and it is wrong. And you should tell someone that you know is not involved in it. Obviously, I wasn't going to go to, you know, my cousin and go, hey, you're molesting me. Stop. You know, I should have went to a parent. I should have went to a school official, something, okay? I didn't. Now, I didn't because my brother told me I was crazy, it wasn't happening, he loved us, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And I forgot about it, and I shoved it way deep down, and I didn't remember any of it. So there you go. Like I said, I just want to give a platform for people who have been abused in this way and other ways. I want to give you a platform to tell your story and also spread awareness about this happening so often. And I also want you parents to, if you think something's off, investigate it. From a really young age appropriately, speak to your children on everything. Sex, drugs, rock and roll. No, no, I'm just kidding. But don't let them listen to System of a Down or Slipknot. No, it'll fuck them up for life. But anyways, on a serious note, abuse is never okay. Please tell someone that you trust. And Heidi-ho there, people. I gotta go. And like I said, keep yourself strong, keep yourself aware, and keep yourself healthy. I love you all. And please don't let my stories bring you down. It's not to do that. It is just to cause awareness and bring education to parents to let them know about these red flags that they can look for. Bye-bye, y'all.